Hey everybody, and welcome back to Film Club. We are going to be analyzing Wandavision episode 5 today. And again, we have Mia White and Patrick Mitchell. I am Kevin, the comic doctor. And let's get started because this was a crazy episode. And Mia, my goodness, I think you made a prediction quite some time ago that actually happened. So why don't you start us off and tell us what you thought of the episode?
Well, I wasn't expecting it in episode 5 of all episodes, and I was watching it, and then they mentioned him again, so I'm like, okay, so it's got to happen at some point. But the way they did it, I don't know. Like, when Darcy said she recast Pietro, and I'm like, okay, that's one way to do it, but no, I don't know.
I don't know. We went right to that point. So we'll talk about Evan Peters right now as playing Pietro. So Patrick, what'd you think? You weren't too crazy about the reveal?
Oh no, I didn't like it. I don't know if I want the mutants to show up for like another 5 years, like minimum, because like we just got X-Men, and I'm worried. My worry with the MCU is that Feige will start doing what DC did. They will just introduce characters. They'll do quantity over quality. Like if you look at how the MCU was built and how that foundation of the MCU was built, it was like you get Iron Man and you get a movie or two focused on him, and then you get a movie with the Hulk, and you get a movie with Captain America, and you're building these characters. You get these characters and you get their struggles and you understand them. So then when they're put in situations like the Avengers, it works. That's why jumping right to the Avengers, if that was like the first movie they did, it wouldn't work. It wouldn't have the success that it did. That's why when you saw that with DC, where they did just Superman and they did a movie with the Justice League like 3 movies later, like it didn't work because Batman was only introduced for like that movie and the Flash just showed up for that movie. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't know if that makes a difference or not. I think you can jump into a movie. I don't think you have to have like
but now Marvel
before they have the.
But I'm worried that Marvel's going to try to do like, let's bring all the mutants in. Wanda, whatever, creates the mutants, or the old mutants are still around, and then you have 10 characters, and they're just sitting there.
Yeah, I think, I'll be honest, this episode was the first episode that felt like a TV show to me.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes any sense or not. There's a moment.
No, because I think it feels so. I talked in the first episode about how I'm scared of the Marvel formula, and how I'm scared we're going to get to this point where we're going to forget about story and we're going to focus on fan service. And we've hit that point now.
Yeah, 100%.
We have crossed the border, and now everybody is like, now they've gotten a taste of what I'm talking about. Where because I was talking about what Marvel could be doing, what Marvel, and those first few episodes were that. They were different and they were unique. They were using these characters and these ideas that have been built up in cool and different ways. And now we're back to square one, the MCU formula. But now that we've gotten the taste of that, they're like, I want the old stuff. I liked where it was different. I liked the 50s sitcom where it was kind of like breaking reality. That's what's memorable.
A lot of people didn't actually. I think people were really freaked out that this is going to be kind of like a sitcom-y type show.
No, but I think once they got into the vibe of it, once they got into the vibe of what they were doing and what was different, they were comfortable with it.
Well,
looking back on it now, it's good.
Go ahead, Mia.
Like this morning, I started into it. Like every episode for the first 4 episodes was something new. Like they never really stuck to a formula, like you were saying. It just, they kept blowing us away. They kept bringing in all these surprises, kept subverting our expectations. But today, I started watching and I'm like, right, this is Marvel. Like it kind of felt like one of the movies that they would have made that might not have been like top 10 out of 10. It just, as soon as it went back to Sword, I was reminded of the fact that this is a Marvel show, and it wasn't as mind-blowing. Like, I guess they were relying on the reveal at the end to be that surprising thing of the week, but I feel like it was kind of predictable that it didn't do it.
And that better not be the Luke Skywalker reveal. That better
I really hope not.
Oh boy.
No, I think Luke Skywalker reveal. I think Doctor Strange will show up.
No,
and she'll be his apprentice or something.
We were talking about that yesterday, actually, outside of this, but we think it's got to be bigger than Doctor Strange. We're talking like Magneto, Professor X. It's got to be big. And
sorry,
they brought this dude in now, man. So
well, now the mutants are here. Here they are.
Yes. So you could see
And the
anyone.
Eternals are here. So it's like in the next couple movies, we're going to get, because the Eternals are big. Like they're basically like a superhero team. And then we're gonna get all the X-Men, and we're getting Fantastic Four. So we just keep introducing characters, but I don't feel like I'm worried that I won't know the characters. Like we know the reason that we're on a Marvel podcast, so I can spoil Endgame, right?
If you haven't seen it
Okay.
yet, come on now.
Okay, so I like the reason Iron Man's death hit was because you know this character and you watched him evolve. Now we're gonna start getting these team up movies where we introduce 8 people, and I don't know, maybe we'll elaborate on some of them. Like,
I'm hoping that the introduction of these offshoot characters from other franchises, from before, whether it be X-Men or whether it be like we're hearing about Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield coming in. I hope if they go down this road, it's a temporary thing. That is the Thanos event in a way, and that this multiverse is collapsing or whatever, they're being brought in, and then they fix it and they go away. I don't mind this Quicksilver being here so long as he goes away after, or they explain it. I don't want to jump the gun and say I hate it. Right? I knew when he's in the back of it. I knew it was him as soon as at the back of the head. It's not going to be Aaron Johnson. It's going to be, or Aaron Taylor Johnson. It's going to be Evan Peters, right? But then you see him and it's like, he doesn't belong there. That's the wrong franchise.
yeah, and there's no reason to do a recasting. That doesn't make sense within the plot. It doesn't make sense within the characters. Why wouldn't she just want her brother back?
Well,
It exists only for the fan service. It exists so people who had watched these previous movies can go, I know that. And the reveal doesn't heighten the themes, or doesn't heighten the characters, or doesn't enhance the plot. It's for you to point to the TV and go, I know who that is.
right.
And
Well, totally.
that's what makes it feel so hollow. That's why it's so shallow. We're sitting here thinking, this is a big reveal. Why didn't I feel anything? People are on Twitter going, wow, that's I know who Evan Peters is, but nobody felt anything because it reigns so hollow, because it doesn't have a structure that it's built on.
We don't know yet.
That's just what I was gonna say. Like, as of right now, that's what it feels like. But at the same time, why is he there? Like, if Wanda is telling the truth and she didn't bring him there, which I believe her at the end of the episode, I don't know. I felt pretty convinced that she wouldn't have brought him there. She seemed very surprised to see him. At the beginning of the episode, the people at Sword were saying that they needed something from the 80s to be able to go in and not be replaced or changed. This is a Quicksilver who happened to be living in the 80s in the X-Men.
That's true.
So I'm not thinking necessarily that Sword brought him in, but I'm thinking that that could somehow be how he ended up there, or maybe that because it was actually Quicksilver coming in somehow, he was changed to the 80s Quicksilver. I don't know, but
There were a couple little clues there that could give us an idea as to what's really going on here. And you remember when she mentioned Pietro the first time when the babies were born, and she was talking to Monica, and she said, I had a brother, and then she established he was dead. In this episode, when her kids asked her, did you have a brother, Mom? And she said, he's far away. Didn't say he was dead. He said he was far away, and I'm sad that he's far away. And then there was the whole thing with the dog being dead. That's, the kids are like, the kids are saying, he is family, bring him back, Mom. Right. Are they talking about the dog? Are they talking about Quicksilver here? Right. So I don't, and then she also said at the end there, when Vision was grilling her, he's asking her, why did she do all this, or why she caused it? How did it all start? She doesn't know how it started. She herself says, I don't know how it began. So, I'm gonna fix my focus there. So there's something else going on. There's more here than meets the eye. It's not as simple as her being the bad guy as the Sword dude. I don't know his name yet. You remember his name? No,
I don't remember any of the.
Yeah.
I don't remember any of the new characters. They introduced like 4, other than Monica Rambeau, because we got time to establish her. They just introduced a ton of these Shield characters or Sword characters, and I don't know any of them.
No,
I don't know anything about any of these people. I don't know their names. They just kind of look into the camera and they go, "Here's what's going on," and then you cut back to Wanda and something happens, and then it cuts back to them and just explain the plot. They're really there for like our benefit. They're less characters than they are things to spout exposition to catch us up on what's going on.
And I don't know if it's supposed to be comic relief when they're commenting on what they're watching on the TV, but I just find it kind of annoying just as they rehash what we're seeing. They're rehashing it over and over again. I mean, it is fun to see them speculate and have everything on their board, but at the same time, it just doesn't feel like it's adding as much to the plot right now for it to be like engaging for us to see them on screen.
It seemed like an episode of Shield a little bit today. I didn't like the Agents of Shield show at all, but it had that flavor to it. I don't know. I don't know. There were some things I liked about it. I mean, I love this is my favorite opening, by the way. The opening for the 1980s. It was totally Growing Pains and Family Ties and Full House all combined into one. The jingle was good. It looked great. I really enjoyed that. I liked how when Vision was confronting her, she you can't control me, or can't I? And the credits start rolling, and they keep going with it. I kind of like.
Yeah, I think that was my favorite part of the episode.
Yeah.
Because that's it, using the ideas in this unique way. I'm like, that's a cool way to present this. You're using the style, the formation, like the structure of what you set, and you're kind of playing with it.
The style is what's working for this show. They can't go back to that Marvel movie style that we're seeing now that they're returning the sword. They have to keep going with the TV show themes and using that to make something unique.
That's too bad. You're gonna get 10 Marvel movies every year until you die in that style.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, all I know is with this dude showing up as the new Quicksilver, I think the sky's the limit with the surprise they're going to give us. And I don't want to hate it because, again, we don't know how it's going to, end up. We don't know what they're unraveling for us. And there were a lot of haters of the first 3 episodes of this series, the first 2 especially, that kind of got on board after the 3rd episode. And last week they really liked it. So we'll see. I guarantee it's going to make those X-Men fans happy, people who do love the 20th Century Fox X-Men, because in the last iteration of last few movies that they put out, this particular character of Quicksilver was probably one of the most was a fan favorite. And didn't he actually appear as Quicksilver the same year as Age of Ultron?
Yeah, because Days of Future Past came out that year, and Days of Future Past is like the best non-Logan X-Men movie.
Yeah, and people always, I mean, after seeing both, I much preferred the X-Men version.
Yeah, well, there was some fun to him. The other one just kind of felt like he was there. Like, yeah. I like the scene. I haven't seen Days of Future Past since it came out, but there's the scene where they're rescuing.
Oh yeah, Magneto.
Yeah, who are they rescuing?
Magneto.
They're rescuing somebody.
Yeah.
And he's in the kitchen and he's running along the walls and it's all in slow motion, and like the one guard spills his soda and he licks it up, and it's like a fun use of these powers, and it's such a fun and inventive scene that you just like him, and he's playing ping pong by himself in the basement, and he's just moving back and forth, and that's a lot of fun. Like, you like that.
And what's wrong with that then? Think about it. I'm Kevin Feige. I have this character that people love. Why would I not take that and somehow reel him into my universe because people loved him? And that being said, why not cherry pick some of these characters from the other, like Deadpool's coming back. We know that 20th Century Fox is going to be restricted. It's going to be the same similar format. And Ryan Reynolds is all on board. He's from the same universe as this Quicksilver dude. So, I think it's too early to start, saying no, but and disagreeing with it. I think it's just way too early. I think we have to see I think next week's episode is another big one, and there'll be some explanations, and perhaps and maybe she's controlling that guy's mind too. That Quicksilver, maybe she's controlling him. She brought him into this universe, or he somehow brought him into this universe, and she's controlling him like she's controlling everybody else in this town.
Yeah, right? I'm okay if it's just a recasting of Aaron Taylor Johnson, and they just pretend like he was always Quicksilver. They're like, this guy's a good actor. Like, I'm not. That's good. I'm good with the recasting. I don't want it to be the actual Quicksilver from the X-Men movies.
But you know what? I think it is, because look, Mia, you want to go with that a little bit? Talk about that a bit? I think it's him too.
I do think it's going to be him, and there seemed to be, like, there was some sort of tension between them when they were introducing each other. Like, I had to watch that scene 4 times just because it actually happened, but she didn't seem certain at first, and he almost didn't respond to her when she said Pietro, because in that other universe he is referred to as Peter.
Yes.
So I think there's going to be something interesting there. And while I don't like how he was introduced, I do have hopes for how Kevin Feige will handle the character in this universe. Because I mean, I'd heard that there was a high visual effects budget for this TV show, so I'm hoping we get one of those scenes where he's running around like, I don't know.
They'll totally put that in.
Yeah, they
They
have to.
have to.
And
Have
like,
to.
I get that it's fan service, but at the same time, this character was one of the best, if not the best characters in the Fox X-Men movies. And in Dark Phoenix, I think he had a total of 3 minutes screen time. Like, they barely used him at all. Now they've got all of this funding and they have these fantastic artists working on these movies and this show. They have to do something more with the character, and I have faith that they'll be able to do more than in the X-Men movies.
Are they going to name her? Are they going to give her how do you phrase it? He said, does she have an alias? Does she have one of those?
Oh yeah, Scarlet.
funny
Yeah, they'll give her
names?
the name Scarlet Witch.
What's that?
I thought she was already called Scarlet Witch.
They've never
I
referred
did
to
too.
her as a Scarlet Witch ever.
Oh.
Never.
That's kind of crazy, eh? How that kind of caught on to the masses.
We know
that's
her
not-
as the Scarlet Witch because of the comics, and people just know it. But
Yeah,
they,
but like Scarlet Witch isn't like we know Scarlet. We reread the comics. We know who Scarlet Witch is. But like people know Scarlet Witch and they haven't read the comics. And Scarlet Witch isn't. She's like a B tier, C tier character. Like she's not like Wolverine or Hulk, where everybody and their grandpa knows him.
well, guess
It's like Scarlet Witch.
she's now an A
And
tier.
the fact that he got the alias, I don't know. That's cool.
They'll give her it's a cool alias. They'll give it to her for sure. And then also I mean, this show was kind of revealing some things about her as a character and a bit of her history as well. The comment about her alias and also the hex power. That's her powers. They refer to it as her hex power in the comics. And now they're, of course, Darcy's the one who comes up with it, but it's now revealed that that's the power she has. So they're giving us a little, they're giving, again, fan service, nodding, giving a nod of the hat to the comic origins, which is really cool. Yeah, and a question I got for both of you. She comes through. You saw her when she comes in, and they try to attack her. They try to assassinate her. Basically, she stops it. She thwarts it. She comes through the force field, throws the drone or whatever, the remnants of that over, and she how can we help you? And she's talking about being in pain. Okay, my question is there more to Wanda's pain than we know about? Did something happen after Endgame that we are unaware of? Because I mentioned, I did a video last week where I talked about the end of Endgame. We see her at the funeral of Tony Stark, and she's with Hawkeye by the lake, and it's nice and serene out, and that's it. So where do we go from that to this? How did she go from that place of serenity or perhaps acceptance to this, where she's now commandeered an entire town and is okay? Go ahead, Patrick.
Okay. Well, like a funeral is just like a moment, and she's around family and friends, so she has that comfort. Will there be something else? Probably. We'll probably get a flashback to something, to introduce a new character. But I don't know. I hope no one's controlling it. I think it's a lot more interesting if Wanda basically had like complete mental breakdown and she created this ideal reality for herself. And as the decades grow, or as the decades go up, like every single day, it seems to be like 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. Next week will be 90s. It's her slipping closer to that reality. Now she's aware that she's in it. And it's the cracks breaking. And when it's the 50s, she doesn't notice. It's clean and it's nice. And there's little bits that kind of like the shimmers of light coming through, but she's not fully there. And we've kind of seen her gradually realize. And I think the next thing of her arc, if they're writing it well, will be growing to accept it, growing to accept the loss and the grief and all the pain that she's gotten through. And instead of doing this unhealthy coping mechanism where she takes over an entire town to reform and reshape reality, she kind of has to learn to deal with it. And I think that could be a good, solid arc.
And they seem to be supporting that with the commercials as well. Like you were saying, if the decade's coming closer to the current time period, they almost seem to be in chronological order of those tragedies she had faced, like Stark Bomb and then Strucker's experimentation and now Lagos. Like it's getting closer to present day. So, and just as the illusion is falling apart, or I don't even know if it's an illusion anymore with Monica's reveal with the clothing. But now as it seems to be coming undone, like she's getting more frantic, it's going to culminate into something big.
I think the final battle is going to be her and Vision. I think it's going to be him putting a stop to her. Um, yeah, I don't know. Potential surprise visits from anybody. What do you think? We talked a bit about it earlier, but we threw a couple of names out there. We already have Quicksilver, obviously, but who else is gonna come? We all agreed Doctor Strange is going to show up in this. Who else? Who do
I
you
was
think?
going to ask, I'm not super familiar with the Fantastic Four. I remember watching the movies like years ago,
Yeah.
but was Reed Richards an aerospace engineer?
Oh yeah, that's what I was gonna
Yeah,
ask.
Yeah,
yeah, he was.
because she's like aerospace engineer, and I'm like, it's gonna happen, but
Oh, you
that
know
would be
what?
Luke Skywalker
You know
level.
what? That's good. I was
I
watching.
don't want Mr. Fantastic to show up in this. I love Mr. Fantastic too much for him to be
Origin
his first appearance to be a surprise cameo in WandaVision.
It
TV
would be
show.
kind of out of place, but I understand that it would be
I
exciting for fans. So
I want the Fantastic Four's first movie to be a Fantastic Four movie and not an appearance in a larger thing. I want a Fantastic Four movie where they do the thing and we get the origin
We've had
story again
a few of
and we
those.
get like a proper Fantastic Four movie because okay, movies determine who which superheroes people think are cool, right? Like people thought Daredevil was like the lamest guy ever until he got the Netflix show. You know what I mean?
I
yeah,
didn't mind the Daredevil movie, to be honest with you. I didn't think it was that bad. It wasn't
Oh,
great.
but okay, you're a minority there.
I don't know.
Most people really don't like that movie, and a lot of people it turned a lot of people off Daredevil. But the Fantastic Four movies are bad, all of them.
Exactly, and you want another one, so I don't
And
have.
no,
I
but
have
I
no
want another one
problem.
that's good because
Yeah,
I
but I
love
have
the
no problem.
Fantastic Four.
I have no problem with them setting up a new one with.
I want new
Already
Fantastic Four. Start from ground zero, introduce it new for people, and then they can start going to other things. I don't want them to be like, we need to bring someone in. Reed Richards, and then you got like an A-list celebrity, and he winks to the camera and he kind of explains who he is. I want like a Fantastic Four movie to set up the Fantastic Four. I don't want them bringing in as like a sideshow to the larger story that's WandaVision.
I agree. I think if they do bring
I
the
think they
Fantastic
deserve
Four,
better.
this is going to be bad if they do that.
If they
it,
bring it,
Too
I think
rushed.
if they bring in Reed Richards, I'd be, because right now I'm like, this is fine. I don't care enough about the X-Men, but I really like the Fantastic Four, and I don't want.
here's the thing though, like with what Disney did with the Mandalorian, and they over the course of season 2 they introduced like what 5 or 6 spin-off shows. Like
Yeah.
I feel like that might be happening again because now we've got Quicksilver and we've got the X-Men and um Monica, they made reference to photons earlier in the episodes, and her X-rays aren't coming back, right? Like, is she starting to awaken in her powers? And then now the possibility of bringing in Reed Richards. It sounds like they're starting to do that again, and I don't know if that'll work in this context.
Yeah. And if they bring Reed Richards in to help, and then he goes away, and then later becomes a superhero, it's like, okay, what? A little too coincidental.
No, I
Yeah,
don't.
Yeah, no,
I
I don't
don't
like
like
that
that.
idea.
I won't.
What's with their problem against? She doesn't seem to like Captain Marvel very much. You notice that part where they mentioned Captain Marvel, and she
yeah.
kind of give a little stink face. It's like she didn't like her too much. So what's up with that? Why do you think she's got it out for Captain Marvel? Monica Rambeau, sorry, that's what I'm talking about. Did you notice that, Patrick?
Yeah, I noticed that. I thought it was more a look of like shock, like, oh, Captain Marvel's around? What?
Hmm.
I
Because yeah.
like I'm wondering if like did she ever come back after she left in Endgame, and then
Yeah.
Monica's back now. Did like maybe it's just because she never came back to see her after her mom died, or like I don't know. There's something personal going on there from what I've seen. I don't know.
Or like because her mom died because the cancer came back. So she was already on her deathbed and maybe Captain Marvel just didn't show up.
Yeah.
I don't know, something along those lines. Um,
That's what I was thinking too. Perhaps a relationship with her mother was strained, or when she was sick, she wasn't there for her mother. She was gone, and she was like a sister to her, I guess. I don't know. We'll see. I'm sure they'll flesh that out as well too. Um, the other thing I want to talk about too is again Agnes in this. Did you notice at the beginning they did that scene, and then should we stop? Should we do it again? Like an actor would say if there was someone who messed their lines up. What's going on with that? Usually it's Wanda who does a little reverse thing, and then but then in this case it's actually Agnes who stops it, and they continue. So what if it's going on? Do you think Agnes is in on this or what?
It's hard to say because we kept thinking she was part of setting all of this up, like as Agatha and just
Mm-hmm.
being this antagonistic force, but now it's not so clear because she, like, while she seems to be working with it, she also seems to just, like, it's almost like she's one of the townspeople but more self-aware, and we don't know why. But it also, I found it interesting that Wanda isn't reverting it like she used to. Like, there was no reversal at all in that scene. And like when the dog passed away, when Sparky kicked the bucket, she didn't revive him. Like, she's almost more hesitant to use her powers and rewrite reality now that Vision's coming to terms with it. I'm confused as to why that might be.
Yeah, well, she's saying you can't bring the dead back, and she did it, right? She brought Vision back.
Yeah.
Now it seems like she brought Quicksilver back, I guess. Oh boy, I don't know what's happening here. It's going to be it's a little confusing, but that's what I think makes it good. Again, I really wish I just dropped the whole darn thing at once. I want to just binge the whole thing. I can't stand.
I like the week to week.
You do? You like that?
Yeah, I don't think,
Painful.
because I don't think this would work as well in a one sitting burst. One, because the conversation wouldn't be there, and two, I think it would start to feel repetitive. Because week to week we get a few hints, but then it's like every 5 minutes, if you're watching this straight for like 2 hours, it's these little hints, these little hints, these little hints, and it's starting to feel a little repetitive in the way they kind of break the reality of the world. Like, I'm starting to be like, oh, they've done this. We've had a drone before. We've had an agent before.
Yeah.
Like, it feels repetitive. And if I was watching this in one burst, I'd be bored.
Good point.
I feel like this episode would have burnt me out, and I would have taken a break, and I probably would have not gone back. Because this was a longer episode too. Like, it was like a good
least
40
favorite
minutes.
episode. Then obviously you're both here, right?
Yeah, yeah. My favorite is either 1 or I liked 4.
Mm-hmm.
I think the second episode was one of my least favorites. I think there just wasn't as much happening in that
Yeah.
one. But I did like this one. While I didn't like the introduction, I was glad to see Quicksilver, and I do still have hope for what could come out of it.
Let's see what they do. Let's see what they
Continue.
do. Very, very exciting. I hope it. I hope they finish it off with a bang and they do a good job with it. I'm sure they will. I hope they do. Been let down so many times by so many different franchises. You know what I'm talking about. But again, I think, again, going back to what Feige said a few weeks ago about the key to this is to understand, the clue about the Doctor Strange film is the multitude of madness. It's craziness. It's madness. So it's supposed to be bonkers. I think it's supposed to be kind
I'm
of.
so excited for that one. Sam Raimi's first movie since, when's the last time he made a movie?
What did he direct last? I'm not sure.
Would it have been Spider-Man 3?
You think so? Could be.
Here, I'm gonna Google that real quick. This probably won't look good on the.
No, it's okay. Go ahead and do it. We can talk while you look that up, IMDb it, and see what it is. The fact that Raimi is back, though, gives me reason to believe that he is definitely. Oh, my camera just turned off. Oh, they're back on again. Gives me reason to believe that he is going to play with these Spider-Man characters that he, because he was buddies with all those guys too, right? They used to have a lot of fun doing those movies. So
I think it might be Oz the Great and Powerful.
That was Raimi?
Is that him?
Yeah, that Oz the Great and Powerful. That would have been his latest.
Franco, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was.
but I don't know.
Yeah.
Sorry, continue.
No, go ahead.
Sorry, I wasn't. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were talking. I don't know. I'm a big Sam Raimi fan. Like, I think the Spider-Mans he made are good, but I like Evil Dead. And if he can capture the insanity that's Evil Dead in a Doctor Strange movie, that would be fun. That'd be so out there and different.
I think they are, and I think that's what's happening here. Is they are really paving the way for that craziness to start and bringing that dude back. Oh man, it's gonna if they keep doing. If every week they bring somebody new in, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see Monica Rambeau as Captain Marvel as well. I wouldn't be surprised if she actually gets that power. I don't know how they would do it. Again, alternate universe, perhaps. I don't know. I like her iteration of Captain Marvel much more than I like Carol Danvers. So we'll see what happens with that as well.
As long as they like good people making these movies, I want to see some like different directors and different minds come into this thing and give different takes. Like one of the big things that I wanted to see out of MCU, phase 2? Which one was the one of the first Ant-Man movie?
Probably phase 2.
Phase 2?
I think so.
Okay, so phase 2, what was originally going to happen was Edgar Wright was set to direct.
That's right.
and that would have been such a fun movie because Edgar Wright's such a great director, especially with the visual and the way he edits his movies. Is there's such a like kinetic pace to them that I think it would have looked so good. But they split because Feige was very controlling. He wanted it all to be uniform.
They kept him on as a producer because he did do some work on it, right?
No, because well, producer means like he funded it, like he did some work.
He
He
was
put in money.
involved
But
at
if they're
some
giving,
point.
I hope they just let Sam Raimi. I hope they give him $150 million and all the blood machines he wants.
Yeah.
Evil Dead 4 Doctor Strange edition.
I don't believe producer means they put money forth. You can get an
You
executive
do.
producer.
You do need to put some money towards it to be a producer.
I don't know about that. I can look into that one.
Because
I think executive producer means you were involved. You had some kind of involvement. You can negotiate that. Like if you're an actor, for example, in a role in a movie, you could say, "Well, I want executive producer credit as well," and they can negotiate that into the contract. I don't think it's actual based solely on financials. It's also if you had some kind of input into it, in any way, shape, or form. You can
it's
be.
like the overseer. Like the director's the boss on set, but the director's got to be like, I want 100 million, and I'm going to use 10 million of this to shoot this action scene. The producer's like, go for it, kind of thing.
Yes, but again, there's many producers oftentimes on a film, right? I'm not saying the producers aren't the money people; they certainly are, but there's also other contributors to the film also get those types of credit as well. Well, listen, guys, I think we pretty much covered. Unless there's anything else you want to say, I think we've covered it all. We got to kind of sit tight and wait till next Friday to see how this kind of unfolds. I'm sure we're going to learn more about this Evan Peters Quicksilver and find out where the heck he came from. Hopefully, we'll find that out next week. But until that time, thanks for dropping by.
Thank you for
Thank you,
having me.
everybody, for coming.
And this is the Film Club. This is the Film Club. It is a club. So why don't you please subscribe and hit like if you like what we're talking about here. We're very small. We're growing and we're trying to figure this thing out. But I'd love to have a community of many that we can tap into and talk to you all about the films we love to watch and the TV we like to watch and all that fun stuff. So until next time, until next week, take care and see you again here at the Film Club. Bye now.
Have a good night, everybody.